Well, thank you all for coming out on this hot afternoon. I certainly appreciate it. Just shows you how strong people you are. The play that I'm going to read today is the second act of a two-act play. Last year I read the first part of this particular play. It was called My Senior Romance, and this act two is My Criminal Career. And we have the overall title, it's Love and Other Predicaments of Life. So.
Excuse me, can you move the microphone to just closer to the, yes, to the middle, that way we can hear.
Or if you stand closer to.
Oh, okay, I think it's working now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, folks. This play is entitled My Criminal Career. And here we go. I'm here today to tell you a horror story, so be prepared for a good scare. It happened to me, and if you're not vigilant, it can happen to you. More than 4 years ago, a young woman with her toddler son moved into my condo building where I had lived for more than 25 years and took my home away from me. Sound incredible, implausible, but it's the truth of 21st century condo life. One fateful night, I took the law into my own hands. It was the start of my criminal career. And because of this indiscretion, I learned ugly lessons about the law. One sticky September evening, some 4 years ago, I came home to a hot, airless apartment. I opened the door to my balcony to let in the cool autumn breeze and plopped down in my easy chair. I was jolted to my feet as harsh cigarette smoke began to fill my space. I walked out into the balcony and saw below me my new neighbor, Veronica, puffing away on a cigarette, blowing smoke right up into my alcove where I was enjoying a glass of wine. I went out into the balcony and politely asked her if she could take the cigarette elsewhere. No response. I again asked her to smoke in the park in front of the building. No response. Now I was smoking mad. A third plea resulted in no movement from below. That's when I went inside, I turned on the kitchen faucet, and poured a small amount of water into a cup. Do you see where this is going? I went back out into the balcony and poured the water through the cracks in the balcony floor onto her head. Well, that took care of that. How wrong was I? From my background, this act was a silly kid's joke, but I had a lot to learn. I had no idea that this innocent dousing was a major crime in her experience. To me, it was an effective solution. I sat back down, relaxed, and felt victorious. I had put out the flames of my anger. I had no idea I had committed a punishable act under the law of the land. Sorry, folks. Moments later, someone was trying to break down my front door. Could this be my neighbor with reinforcements? Come for revenge? Should I open the door? I was frightened out of my wits. Through the peephole, I saw two men in blue. I opened the door and two burly policemen pushed their way in. I had no idea I had committed a crime of tidal proportion. She was blowing smoke in my face. You committed an assault. It was half a cup of water. It could have been acid, said Officer 1. I told them my story of frustration. Officer 2 said, we're going to go back downstairs. When we get back, we're going to give you a test. They stomped out and I was left to wonder, what sort of test? Physical, oral, written, litmus? Should I prepare for this exam? Would my IQ be put on the line? I heard scrambling on the balcony below. Were they reinvestigating the crime scene? Measuring the amount of water used in the attack? Finally, the officers returned. We asked her to light up and puff away. Did you smell any smoke? Aha, that's what they were up to. It was the old O.J. Simpson glove test. If I didn't smell smoke, they would have to convict. Under pressure, all my senses were numb. Should I lie? Maybe this was some kind of a trap. Reluctantly, I fessed up. Then we have to write you up, said Officer 1. For what, I asked? Creating a public nuisance. Public? I poured water on my neighbor's head in the privacy of my home. One officer pulled out his book and began to scribble. He handed me a citation. Send in your check, or you'll be given a date to appear in court. With that, the officers filed out. I sat down and pondered my fate. I looked at the citation. $100. Holy smoke, that's a month of cable. This would turn out to be my first visit to the halls of justice in my 21st century crime spree. Sorry, folks. Perhaps I should point out that this was not the only time I was assaulted by the smoker and her addicted relatives. It was one of more than I have count. So back to the immediate problem. How could I fix this transgression with my neighbor? Nip it in the bud. I sucked up my courage and went downstairs and tapped on Veronica's door. She opened it and said nothing, just stared me down, waited for me to speak. She was low energy, I was high energy. Should I apologize? My body was trembling. Never before had I been in such a jam with the law. Here I was, cited by authorities and ordered to appear in court. Finally, she spoke. That was a childish thing to do. How old are you? I sputtered out my age. You're that old and you still live in an apartment? You should live in a house where you won't annoy anybody. My God, she turned it around on me. That hit a raw nerve. All this was backfiring. She was defiant. And then, the welcome words. I told my landlord I'm not going to renew my lease. I didn't move a muscle, showed no emotion. Inside I was bursting with glee. Could my indiscretion bring a long saga of abuse and torment to an end? That night I went to bed happy. Not so fast. The next morning I opened my email to find a curt message from Veronica's landlord, the unit owner, Harold. You crossed the line, don't call me again. Before this incident, he had been my ally. Now he had gone over to the enemy. He didn't want to lose his tenant, a so-called Section 8, whose rent tab was guaranteed by a generous Uncle Sam. It was a sure thing. Now, without Harold on my side, I was alone to put out the smoke. Merry Christmas! 2 weeks before December 25th, I arrived at the Norwalk Courthouse to learn my fate. I had spent days preparing my case, amassing documents, considering possible scenarios. I was ready to defend my turf. At the courthouse door, I was body searched. My water bottle and peanut butter sandwich were confiscated by guards. Then I was allowed to enter. I sat down next to a somber, droopy, faux plastic holiday tree and prepared for a long wait. I was a first-timer. My fellow scofflaws, all men, seemed to have court experience. Was it safe to mix with them? They were relaxed, talkative. I guess it was the season. Their crimes, they told me, were rolling through stop signs, failure to pay child support, DWI. I decided to join them. I got into the spirit and confessed my crime, which was met with howls of laughter. Then I was told to sign up on a chalkboard. When my name was called, I was escorted into an inner office. No courtroom or robed judge in sight. A young woman in street clothes approached with a file folder in hand, leafed through a few documents and said, "Pay a fine of $50 and go home, or I can set a trial date." That was it. After weeks of tedious preparation, this was a Christmas gift come early. I wrote a check, and I was out of there before you could say magi. Later, I went investigating and discovered that I was not the only tenant in my condo complex being tormented by secondhand smoke. A young family with one small child and a new baby were also victims of smoking neighbors. In the rental apartment above them, above the young family, lived two 80-something seniors who chain smoked all day long and into the evening. The condo board had come to the young family's defense. It decreed that the owner had to buy an air purifier to protect the suffering family below, and he did. But was it effective? I wanted to know. I decided to pay the smoking seniors a surprise visit. I knocked on their door, which was open to two coughing smokers puffing away, filling the whole place with cigarette smoke. No need to ask if the air purifier was working. Obviously, an AP was not the answer. Then one night, on one of the home shopping channels, up for sale was an air purifier, guaranteed to eliminate 90% of room odors, including cigarette smoke. Again, hope was raised. Could this be true? I immediately ordered two of the gadgets, and held my breath until the day they arrived. It seemed my plight might be resolved. I was elated, optimistic as I installed one of the units. At first, a strange, annoying buzzing filled the room. Okay, it would stop. It didn't. Even worse, it was accompanied by an offensive odor that reeked like that of an electrocuted small animal. Again, all hope was dashed. Now I was desperate. I needed relief. I wanted the smoker and her smoking tribe out. She had to go, but I didn't know where to begin. Obviously, the condo board wasn't going to help. There was nothing in the condo bylaws that outlawed smoking inside condo units. So she could be evicted only if she didn't pay the rent, which she didn't pay anyway. The federal government picked up most of her monthly tab, or if she committed a felony crime. Let me explain. Veronica was a woman with voucher status. Well, what is voucher status? Veronica was a Section 8 tenant. She was the recipient of the federally funded voucher program that enabled residents of public housing to move into middle-class neighborhoods. Thanks to Uncle Sam, she paid $600 a month for a unit that rents for more than $2,000 to anyone else. Nice idea, but who pays the rent? Well, taxpayers do. That's you and me. Do you get the picture? Well, I didn't. So I went to City Hall with my plight. The Board of Health, surely they would offer me some relief. They said, suck it up. Smoking is not illegal inside one's home. Not a thing they could do.